Well, we're back right here on Hala, Kuwait, and right now we're going to be moving on to another one of our amazing reports, and we're going to take a look at the Kuwait Fund for Arab Economic Development, and then we'll be joined right after that by our first guest this evening. We'll be joined by Abdul Razak Jamil Al-Sani, who is a researcher at the Kuwait Fund for Arab Economic Development. That'll be coming up very shortly in our first interview segment. Stay tuned.
في أساس ما يتغير مع الأيام ولا من مكان لمكان، هو الإيمان بأن الإنسان هو حجر الأساس لبناء المجتمعات. نزرع الطموح ونحصده، وقدرات شبابنا ما لها حدود، مؤمنين بأن قيمتنا الحقيقية تكون بتغيير حياة الناس للأفضل. والاستثمار في الإنسان هو الغاية والهدف، الإيمان بالأمل والمستقبل، الإيمان بالعلم والإبداع والمعرفة. الإنسان هو حجر الأساس.
Well, we're back right here in the studio, and we have with us right now Abdul Razak Jamil Al-Sani, who is a researcher at the Kuwait Fund for Arab Economic Development. Good evening, Abdul Razak. Welcome to our program.
Good evening. Thank you for having me, Tariq.
It's a pleasure to have you with us tonight right here on Hala, Kuwait. And maybe you could start out by telling us a little bit about the Kuwait Fund. The Kuwait Fund has a significant role in society. Tell us about the notable aspects of this local role, please.
Absolutely. In terms of a local role, the Kuwait Fund as an international development fund gets involved on the Kuwaiti level to a certain extent. In terms of the local role, in recent memory, in COVID-19 response, the Kuwait Fund provided roughly 30 million Kuwaiti dinars to the state of Kuwait. As well as different programs that aim to inspire and train young Kuwaitis and graduates from the high school to the graduate level. And beyond that, we also are very involved in terms of the public authority for housing welfare.
We're doing a lot of great things there, so maybe you could tell us in some details, please, about the fund's role and contributions regarding housing welfare in the state of Kuwait, please.
Absolutely. In 2003, there was a mandate change for the Kuwait Fund that allowed for direct contribution on a local level in Kuwait. And following such change in mandate, the Kuwait Fund purchased roughly 500 million Kuwaiti dinars worth of bonds in the public authority for housing welfare. And since then has been providing 25% of its profits to the public authority. And as of 2020-2019 has amounted to roughly 376 million Kuwaiti dinars, roughly 1.2 billion US dollars.
Okay, moving on to some other questions that we have for you, Abdul Razak. Since the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, the fund, like all active state institutions in society, had a very distinctive mark in the anti-COVID-19 efforts, whether locally or internationally. Can you tell us about that, elaborate a little bit about that?
Absolutely. As I previously mentioned, the fund provided 30 million Kuwaiti dinars to the state of Kuwait. And on an international level, the Kuwait Fund was involved with several aspects of trying to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. We provided a large amount of grants to our beneficiary countries as well as UN organizations, specifically aimed at combating COVID-19 as well as proper response. We also participated in the DSSI initiative, the Debt Service Suspension Initiative established by the G20 and the World Bank in Riyadh in 2020. This initiative specifically seeks to alleviate financial pressure on our beneficiary countries that have taken out loans with the Kuwait Fund, with the express intent of pushing back loan repayments to a further date to allow for fiscal breathing space within that financial strain of COVID-19.
Okay, good to hear that also. And then now, in support of human development, I know the Kuwait Fund provides two programs, Be Among the Excellent Ones and training and preparing newly graduated Kuwaiti engineers and architects. So Tell us a little bit about that in some detail, please, Abdulrazak.
Absolutely. Be Among the Excellent Ones is a program the Kuwait Fund has been taking out for quite a while now. It specifically entails getting in contact with the highest achieving young students in the Kuwaiti public education system and inviting them to both learn about the fund as well as...
Is this like an internship, Abdulrazak?
It's more so of a project tour as well as an educational situation. So in the summers we would take them to different project sites for the Kuwait Fund in different areas. So
on-site training and so forth, huh?
Yes.
Good to hear that.
Yes, although the training aspect comes in more with the second program, which focuses on freshly graduated Kuwaiti engineers and architects, and the program entails high-level training as well as education, therefore further preparing them post-graduation and as well as possibly taking some of them into the fund itself.
Tell us a little bit more about this. Sounds very interesting that the fund is supporting the local youth here, the outstanding students.
No, absolutely. So what happens with the Be Among the Excellent Ones is that the Kuwait Fund seeks out the highest achieving students in the public system and as I mentioned tries to educate them as well as show them the possible avenues that the Kuwait Fund does. And as for training for these young fresh graduate engineers, it to a degree elevates the overall level of fresh graduates of engineers and architects in Kuwait.
Good to hear that also. So what is Kuwait Fund's role in backing the Kuwaiti local economy? Tell us a little bit about that, how it's supporting and helping the local economy, please.
In terms of the local economy, the Kuwait Fund has several projects all throughout the world. And within these projects we have contractors and consultants, and we make a concerted effort to involve Kuwaiti consultants and contractors within these projects. We actually have stipulations on quite a few of our loans that the consultant be a joint venture between a Kuwaiti consultant and a international consultant, therefore both elevating the level of consultant firms in these places as well as giving further reach for these Kuwaiti consultancy firms.
Okay, it's good to get the Kuwaiti consultancy firms involved also so they could gain experience with these very vast different projects that are taking place all around the world.
Absolutely.
Well, Abdulrazak, you know, it's a pleasure to have you with us right here on Hala Kuwait. Do you have any last words or comments for the audience who are watching tonight's episode?
I'd just like to say it's been an absolute honor to be here and that the Kuwait Fund further strives for the development of both Arab and international nations, and that the Kuwait Fund is here not only for these nations but as well as for the nation of Kuwait, putting out a further arm in international relations and putting on a bright face for the state of Kuwait.
Well, we'd like to thank you so much for being our guest this evening and wish you and all your colleagues all the best of luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you very much, Tariq. It's been a pleasure.
It was a pleasure having you on our program. We'd like to thank our distinguished guest, Mr. Abdulrazak Jamil Al-Sani', researcher at the Kuwait Fund for Arab Economic